Good morning, everyone. This is Lori with Quilters Headquarters in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Today we are going to be working on Block 4 of the London Blues quilt by Wing and a Prayer Design. I'm doing mine in different colors because I've already made the blue one, and because of the coronavirus, we had to cancel our classes, so I'm remaking it via video so that we have still a class. Today is Block 4 right there. All right, so what we're going to be learning today is, let me get my pointer out here. Again, we're going to do flying geese. And then these units right here they're called folded corners. We're going to be using our corner pop from Studio 180 today to do that. All right. And let's see. What else was I going to tell you? Oh, I was going to tell you that if you happen to see this in the future, today is June 10, 2020. I always like to know that when I see videos. All right, so we're going to start today with our flying geese. And if you've been following my series, you know the drill. We are going to mark two of each of these. So we have 2 flying geese units. Well, 2 different sets. All right. And we're going to draw our sewing lines like we always do. Corner to corner. I don't want to get these mixed up, so this goes here. And this goes here. So I'm going to draw my sewing lines with my handy dandy. I just use a matte mechanical pencil, the Quilter's Magic Wand by Studio 180. I try not to get lead pencil marks on my cutting mat because it's really hard to get them off. Even Mr. Clean didn't take it off. The magic scrubbers. So I just try not to get it on. What does work is the actual eraser. All right, so that's going to go with that one. And then you probably also know from watching me do flying geese units, I cut out that extra 2 layers at the point. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, hold on and I will show you. And I only mark 2 because I have my diagonal seam tape over here on my machine, and you can see more of that in previous videos as well. So what I mean by taking out the extra 2 layers in the middle, I draw a line from the corner of the big square, and I draw it right on top of these middle squares. Pull that away. Do it on this one. Only have to do it on 2 of the squares. And then I trim away those points. Lay them back down like so. Ooh, get rid of that stuff. I have sewn that stuff in anyway. There's my 2 extra layers, right? And I'll be sewing right on my drawn lines. Let me get my other one ready. And we'll take it to the sewing machine and we will get cracking. Because I know I'm trying to hurry through this morning because I am actually at this point in time working on 3 different wing and a prayer quilts that just came out. So there is something Canyon. I can't remember all of them. And anyway, I'm trying to record each and every one of them just in case I figure out how to or don't figure out how to do classes. So anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and sew. Okay, I've sewed both sides of these. We'll cut them in half. I'm going to actually layer them and cut all the layers at once. And then I will take them over to my pressing table. I'll press like this, and I will be right back. Okay, so I've pressed them all. The next step is to lay our smaller squares in the corner. And like I said, I'm not going to draw the lines. I'm going to use my diagonal seam tape today and just follow the lines on that. Saves me some time. All right. So you probably know the drill, but I'll go over it one more time. I'm laying the corner of my square to the side of my 1/4 inch foot, and I'm following the bottom corner along this line right here on my diagonal seam tape. Okay, turning it around, doing the same thing. 2 sides. I always use leaders and enders. It just helps keep my fabric from bunching up. If you have an old machine, this machine probably would never do that, but it will get thread boogers on the back, so I just do it. Grandma Kern taught me when I was a little girl to do that, and I always thought that was a good idea. All right, so now I'm just cutting these in half. Right between the 2 lines that I just sewed. Maybe it's easier to see on this background. I'm lining my corners up here. You know, if you're not comfortable with that, just do 1 set at a time. All right, I'll take them over to my ironing and I'll iron like so. Okay, I will say that one of my seam allowances when I trimmed 2 at a time did get a little narrow, but it's good enough. I'm not too worried about it falling apart. All right, so we're going to take our wing clipper and we're going to trim this up. You've seen the drill before, but I'm going to lay this first line here on this seam line here and this next line here on this seam line here with the X meeting down at the point. That's our first trim. Like so. Again, if you're left-handed, you're going to trim it like this. All right, so up the left-hand side over the top, just turn it to the side. All right, and this is the side I just trimmed, the good side. So I will lay my 4.5 by 2.5 here, and the X will meet up in the peak. Easy peasy. I like the, I know in previous videos I have shown the Ultimate Flying Geese by Quilters Creative Grids. And you know, it's a good tool as well. I like Studio 180, because I used to be a certified instructor for Studio 180. I like their tools, but really I like the fine lines. And you can also get more sizes out of the wing clipper than you can the Ultimate Flying Geese. So anyway, I will be back. I'm going to go over to a taller table and finish doing the trims. Okay, I've got all my Flying Geese units complete. We're going to sew them together like so. Reminder, your colors are different. And let's see. I'm just double checking to make sure I'm doing them right. And it's a good thing I did, because that's not how we're doing as far as the colors. So actually, we're doing it like so. All right, so the different colors. Instead of having it continuous with color number 2 all the way, we're doing it opposite like so. That's interesting. Not usually how we do this block, but that's how we're doing it today. So I'm going to go ahead and sew these together, and I'll let you watch me in fast forward motion. Always check your patterns before sewing together, instead of making assumptions. Oh, what did I do? I'm missing one. Did I sew 2 together? I've done that before. Let's see what I've done. Get this sewn. Okay, I'm missing one. Did I sew 2 together? No. Okay, found it. And one more to go. Perfect fit. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get these pressed. And because there's thickness there, I am going to press to this side. So I'll turn it this way, and I'll be pressing them this way. And we will continue this when I get back. Okay, so here I am talking and carrying on, and I don't have my microphone on. So we'll start over. I'm gonna let you see how I did that. So I started out, I'm using my corner pop tool instead of the directions. Okay. All right, so instead of using the folded corner, method as in the directions, I'm going to use our corner pop tool by Studio 180. I just find it a lot easier because I cannot get this seam in there absolutely perfect to come out with a perfect 4.5 inch square. I like using the corner pop tool, and I thought I was recording before, but I wasn't. I was recording without audio, so I'm just going to demonstrate what I discovered, or what I did before I discovered I wasn't recording. So the first thing I did was, instead of cutting your fabric 10 squares at 2.5 inch, I cut, instead of cutting 8 2.5 inch squares for the folded corners, I cut 4 3 1/4 inch squares for the corner pop, and then I cut those in half. Okay. The next thing you're going to do is take your corner pop tool, and your corner pop tool has a cutaway corner. And because we are cutting away, so our instructions, our original instructions said cut a 2.5 inch square. You want to look at your directions that come with the tool, but when it says that, you need to include your seam allowance. So if your instructions say, your original instructions say cut 2.5 inch square for folded corners, you actually want to use the 2 inch marking for your cutaway corners. Okay? If that's not clear, I'll show you. So my instructions said 2.5. I know that a 2.5 minus the... I was having a lot of audio trouble this day. So here I am. What I'm telling you is, when your instructions tell you to use a 2.5 inch folded corner, our cutaway corner with the corner pop tool is going to be a 2 inch. So you just have to pay attention to your instructions with your tool. It'll change with every folded corner square that you use. So there I cut away my corner pop. I used that 2 inch line and I cut it away, and now I'm using the squares that I cut in half, and I'll sew those onto each side of the background fabric. And you can see that they're bigger. That gives us trim away fabric so that we can trim it down to perfect. And here you can just see that I'm just going to visually center that triangle onto the square, the cutoff square. You don't have to go ahead and measure and carry on and, be exact, because you're going to have plenty to trim away. So just eyeball it, center it over there, and sew it on. And I'm chain piecing here. Just saying, I like to use my bamboo stiletto there. It helps me pick things up and get it under the needle. I love my bamboo stiletto. And then my ender. And then I'll go ahead and get them all pressed. I finger press first. It avoids any distortion. I feel like if you finger press it first, you won't get your bias seams distorted. So I'm back. I pressed. And now I'm going to trim. I'll bet I'm talking about not distorting your seams. If you don't finger press first, you can get those seams will smile a little bit. They'll drape up like I was kind of showing, so it looks like a smile. And so I press it. I use steam, but I let them cool before I bring them over to be trimmed. Let them cool before you pick them up so you don't get any distortion on that bias seam. Okay, now I'm going to get ready to trim. I'm using my 6.5-inch ruler. These are going to measure 4.5 inches, so I lay that one corner down on my 4.5-inch corner there. All right, so line up the 4.5, the 4.5. Should line up there at 4.5. And the top corner will line up exactly perfect. So I'll be trimming the side and the top. Right, then I turn it around, line up that corner at the 4.5-inch mark, 4.5 and 4.5 on the side and on the bottom. We want it to be as square as we can. I like to use the Quilter Select rulers. They don't slide. The corner pop actually has some markings on it you can use as well, but this is a smaller ruler and I just don't have that much space. But I do like the non-slide of Quilter Select. So there we have our sew and flip corner units. And next up is going to be putting the block together. So I'm going to lay them out according to the picture. Make sure you lay them out and orientate those angles just right. Get them all laid out. It's going to be a pretty block. Very cool. Looks like the picture. We'll get them sewed together. I was having a lot of audio. Okay, so I've got it all sewed together. I'm pressing, I was just showing you how I was pressing. I believe I pressed the top and the bottom rows to the middle. And I'm showing you how beautiful the corners matched up. Looks like I pressed open. So I pressed open on those row seams. And there you have a beautiful block.